Hi, my name is Tom Dutta, and I'm coming at you live from the west coast of Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. I'm a #1 international best-selling author of the book, The Way of the Quiet Warrior. I'm a business executive. For over 30 years. I've helped build and grow companies on both sides of the border. And today I mentor and coach others through my company, a very unique company called KRE-AT. We're about leadership development. But why am I here today talking to you? Because I'm talking to you that everybody that does what I do have a dream. And going back 30 years ago, I had a dream of writing a book. You see, my experience is like most corporate successful people, is that success comes at a price. Success is incredible, but happiness can last a lifetime. Many people I've seen and mentored along the way, including myself, have fallen into the life and leadership graveyard at some point in their careers. And quite frankly, they feel misplaced or misunderstood. While success is incredible, something is missing, isn't it? Well, I decided, the dream of writing a book, that I decided to get that done. And at a moment in time, I started writing my story into The Way of the Quiet Warrior. I'm pleased to tell you that the book was finished last November in 2016 and was released digitally in January of this year. And so one of the people who endorsed my book, who I respect, who's a well-known motivational speaker, an entrepreneur from the United States, called me and he said, Tom, he says, I got a guy you need to talk to. I said, well, who's your guy? He said, T.C. Bradley. I said, well, who's T.C. Bradley? He said, listen, you just got to talk to him. He says, I know what you're trying to do with your story, with your book, and the launch of your company. He says, it'll make it worthwhile for you to put in a phone call to T.C. Well, I dialed the phone, and the next day I was on a phone call with the guy, T.C. Bradley. Now, I got to tell you, because I'm a Canadian, I'm about integrity, and I'm not about hard sell. And from the first 5 minutes of that phone call, T.C. Bradley had my heart. I don't know if you've heard of his story, the ambulance story, but T.C. was given a second chance in life. He came back after life was stolen from him, came back as a warrior. And I'm all about warriors. My book, The Quiet Warrior, I've met a lot of good people. T.C. said to me, he says, Tom, he said, I learned when I came back about how to write a book. He said, I took it to #1 bestseller. And he said, my passion and purpose is to give back and help other people. He said, I'm blessed to be given a second chance in life. Well, at that moment in time, I knew that T.C. was about putting things ahead of profit, people before money. I said, T.C., I don't know what this is going to be, but let's just do it. Now, I want to tell you that when I wrote the book was a calling card for my business. This is a book written like no other book. It's a series of fictional chapters wrapped around business chapters that illustrate the process of coaching and mentoring I use in my business. But more than that, it's also the life story of me, meeting various people along the way, like you, like the T.C. Bradleys, and understanding their story and helping them find a different pathway. You know, my publisher in New York, Morgan James, I want to do a shout out to them. I'm honored that they believed in doing this book. It publishes July the 4th, and here we are. We're not even there yet. But when my publisher called me, he said, I want you to read some information. And what I read was that Bill Clinton, one of the famous people that you know and I know, the former president of the United States, Bill wrote a book, and Bill was quoted as saying, my book never sold because I never marketed it. I'm not about ego, but I can tell you that the strategy behind my book was to market it on a global stage. The word in my book is so purposeful about helping other people find a new pathway in their life. People like me who have come from a point of disadvantage in their life to a level of success they only dreamed of, and sharing that with others. But I knew out here in the west coast of Vancouver, I had to do something special. I had no idea how I was going to achieve that celebrity status, how I was even going to take this before it was published to bestseller status. But I learned one thing as a CEO, and I'm going to tell you, I mentor others, and I tell them, if you want to be good at what you do, surround yourself with a posse of people much smarter than you. People have unique skills that you don't have. Put your ego aside. And that's why T.C. Bradley is in my posse. So T.C. and I set out, and from the beginning it was astonishing working with him. It was so simple, I thought I'm going to have a lot of work to do. He said, Tom, I want you to do these couple things and then leave it with me, step back. He kept me up to date, and some weeks into the process, he phoned me and he said, guess what? We're launching the bestseller campaign tomorrow. Oh my God. I can tell you I didn't sleep at all that night for all the right reasons. And there was sweat on my brow. The next morning I woke up, and even my wife will tell you, I didn't know where we were headed with this. I just knew I was super excited. And I was holding on to this book that day. Well, that day I had meetings set up and I was busy, and I said, TC, I'm going to be on Facebook Messenger. I'm going to be on my cell phone. Listen, dude, you let me know what's going on. And so I left the house, and hours went by with anticipation on the edge of my seat, trying to keep focus. All of a sudden, I get this message from TC, and it says, triple ones. I said, what is triple ones, TC, as I replied back? He said, Tommy, you just hit #1 bestseller in all the 3 categories you're positioned in Canada. I was in my BMW and I almost drove off the road. TC will tell you, I got a hold of him and we had a chat. He said, congratulations, Tom. He says, your life will never be the same. He said, you can never, ever have anybody take away the success you've had with your book today. And that'll get you far on the stage with your own credibility and your mission. I said, well, TC, thank you. But I said, it's not good enough. I said, I want to be a #1 bestseller in multiple countries, because the strategy of my work and my business is to take it across from Canada, across the United States, and then internationally. TC said, Tom, I got your back. He said, the day's not done yet. So I hung up the phone and I went on my way. And a couple hours later, I got a Facebook message and it said, we're done. You had a great day. Well, guess what? We hit #1 bestseller in the United States. And the part that made me even more excited is along the way, we knocked off some pretty big New York Times bestsellers. Damon John of Shark Tank, Gary Vaynerchuk, and the one that had me stop and tear up was the fact that we beat out Tony Robbins. We weren't #1 in his category. We were #2. Tony was #7. You see, I was mentored and spent time with Tony, and he was one of the reasons that I changed part of my life. And to know that you're now in good standing, competing against the smartest people in the world like Tony Robbins, just really touched my heart. Here we are now, #1 international bestseller. The week after, TC had it all set up. He sent a press release out. We hit all the major networks. We got on a magazine online for my story. And within literally days after achieving all this celebrity status and the #1 international status, I got a call from a TV show in the US. I'm heading down to Universal Studios in the fall to tape a TV show, which is going to be exciting, featuring me, my business. I'll be receiving an award for being a top entrepreneur. We've had calls from radio shows. We've had emails asking us to participate in blogs with our story. And we're not even published yet. July the 4th is a day that will go down in history for me. That is the day that The Way of the Quiet Warrior is released in the bookstores. But it's an absolute pleasure to tell you that we achieved #1 international best-selling status in multiple countries some 2.5 months before our publishing date, all because of one man, because of the genius and the integrity of my friend and my business partner, TC Bradley. Everybody, if you loved my story, pick up the phone for no obligation, get a hold of TC, have a chat. You need him in your corner. TC, you rock. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.